Okay, so this is Ask GMBN in the World Cup pits. I've got loads of questions you guys have submitted via social media, so I'm going to get some help from the pros, the mechanics, the team managers to answer some of your downhill racing questions. Right, first one comes from Callum J. Morrison. How did you realise you had the potential to go far in downhill?
To be quite honest, it wasn't really like a day that it doesn't happen in a day. Like I was riding since I could walk pretty much. And
I remember those days. You must have raced for a long time now.
Yeah, I've probably, my first World Cup season was 2008, so 9 or 10 years. So yeah, it's been a while. Maybe for my parents it was like, he can be good at this, so we'll allow him, we'll give him the resources to do it. And then yeah, it's just been ongoing. It's not like a overnight thing.
Do you remember one particular race, probably like a World Cup or a World Champs, where you had a good result and you thought, yes, this is it, I can do this?
When you ask the question, I guess my first year senior was 2010, and I had a top 10 at the World Champs in Monson and when Sam won. So then that was like a good statement to say, right, well, that's what we can do in our first year, let's move forward, I guess.
JMC Wire, what is the pay like for pro downhill riders?
They definitely get paid more than they used to, I can tell you that, Neil.
I didn't get paid very much to race downhill, Will.
No, that's because I was paying your wages. I don't know, more than a plumber, less than a footballer.
Kat Selick has asked, what is your worst injury and how long did it take to heal?
Oh, I've had a few injuries done. Maybe the worst one was probably, trying to remember the year, but I'd won the first 2 World Cups of the year, then went to Grouse Mountain, and it was quite a new track, so there was a bit of like spongy, dodgy new dirt in there, and I just came in and my front wheel got sucked into like a spongy bit. I went over the bars and hit a tree, but I landed straight on my shoulder, separated my shoulder.
How did you come back from that? Did you come back as fast, or does that take a bit of a toll on your confidence as well?
I think I've always been able to just put that kind of thing behind me and come back as quick as possible and as fast as possible, and not really worry about the injury once I'm back.
Question I've got, I know you've broken loads of bones over the years. Do you feel it now you're getting older? Because I certainly do.
I definitely do, yeah. Yeah, I've got a lot of little niggling injuries that just like wake up in the morning and have to stretch like a cat.
A question from the bike guy, how on earth do you process information so fast? I understand that they know the track, but I can't go that fast because there's simply too much stimulation and information for him to take in.
I think it just comes down to confidence and just riding a lot, and I mean everybody always says look ahead, but that's really true. And I think and I do reaction time training and things, and my reaction time is really average on the scale of humans. So I think it is just really knowing the majority of what's going to happen before it happens.
Do you think that slows down? I don't know if it's because I don't ride quite as much as I used to, but I have got older and I feel like my reactions have slowed down. Do you think age has got anything to do with that?
Yeah, I definitely think age, and the biggest thing that I've spoken, like Andrew Neethling and I had a conversation about this, is eyesight. As you get older, like your eyesight's, like my eyesight's quite good, but I know it's not like it was when I was 18, you know.
Right, Paul938 asks, how do you get sponsored?
Wait till you're asked. At this level, at least, you know you're good enough when people are asking you, and I think if you force yourself onto sponsors too much, then it can be a little bit of a put-off. If you're out there doing your best and trying your hardest on your own a little bit, it gets noticed. It really does get noticed.
So often social media comes into it now, but I guess this is downhill racing, this is where results mean everything. Do you still consider people's social media following?
I think you absolutely have to now. I know for some of our sponsors at least it's a big thing for them. It's not all about racing. I mean, these days it seems like that all happens in about 3 months of the year, so yeah, you've got to be out there promoting, you've got to be doing interesting things, and you've got to stand out from everybody else.
So Russ QT says, for new jumps or lines, do you get to a point when you just say whatever and send it and rely on your instinct and skill?
I guess when it comes to stuff like that, it's normally, well, for me anyway, it's normally like look at it first run and then second run, just commit to it, because I feel like if you keep putting it off and hesitate, that's when I guess things start going wrong.
What about certain tracks? Say if you maybe crash one year and have a bad time, then you come back the next year, does that sort of linger in your mind as well?
Not really, because it's a new year, so I guess you kind of put that behind you the previous year and just focus on a new year.
Next question comes from Maciard. Do you ever feel like you're going too fast?
Yes.
I guess it depends on the track. I remember racing in Chambéry back in the wet where it felt like most of the time you're going too fast. But even a flatter track, maybe like Mont Saint Anne, there are times where you're like, whoa, it's happening, I'm going too fast.
Yeah, I kind of enjoy the faster tracks, so I don't necessarily worry about the speed too much. Fort William this year was quite tough. It was the fastest I'd ever ridden it, and a little bit dry, so I was a bit skatey, and there's a lot of times there that you feel like you're a bit on the edge, but that's a confidence thing again. You just, when you're confident, nothing feels too fast, and when you're not, everything feels too fast. So.
Jay Pollock has got a question. How early do the riders get to a specific track for a World Cup race to walk it, practice it, etc.? Do they come in separately or fly and drive in as a team together? Well, it's different from team to team, but normally there's a walk. So an official track walk is the day before they start practicing, so all the riders will be there for that. But riders do differ slightly. So Danny Hart was actually here last week, came in his camper vans, who's been riding. He also stays in his camper van on site, but most of the top riders actually stay in hotels around the site. Mechanics drive the trucks from race to race, and they all fly in separately. So it does differ from team to team. Some of maybe the lower ranked riders who aren't the top level, they'll probably drive in with the trucks themselves, but definitely a lot of the riders come in and fly and get a hire car probably a day or two later than the rest of the team. Downhill's such a tough sport, but I think that's why I love it. You get one chance, one run to do it. Do you think, say if you qualify fastest and you're last man down the hill, does that add any more pressure?
I would say so, yeah. I won time training the other day, and even just that, I know we didn't even have a full session, but even just that makes you know that you're at the sharp end. And I've qualified first a couple of times, I think, and yeah, I've never turned. In fact, I qualified first in Lenzerheide when I won my first one. I was fastest all weekend there, and I was good, but I qualified first in Fort William a few years ago on the Giant, and may as well not have even showed up for the race.
One from Adam Ungerrit. How often do you ride a big bike in the week?
Depending on travel, like if we're traveling race to race, then it's basically just practice days.
Do you ride like an enduro bike in the off season as well?
Yeah, I do a lot of trail riding in the off season. I mean that's also good for the skill as well, but nothing can beat the downhill bike and time on that.
One from Sam NL. What is the scariest part of downhill?
The scariest part, oh god. It's difficult these days. Like when I was a kid, I would be going to tracks that I'd been to like in the previous years. Like I remember like Ayr Forest in Scotland. We used to go there, and there was like the coffin jump and the big rock garden, and every time I was like nervous for these features in the track. But these days, like obviously at the sharp end at the top, like there isn't that many things that really scare you anymore. Like I went to Lenzerheide the year that I won actually, and Troy the previous year did a gap over a stump, and I was going there thinking, oh god, I'm gonna have to try and do this now because everybody's gonna do it, but they changed it so you couldn't do it. But them are the scary things, when you get things on the track that you are a bit nervous to do.
Felix asks, is beer a part of mountain biking?
Yeah, for me, definitely.
What about the downhill races? Maybe not so much as back in our days.
No, I think back in our days, but I've always looked at it like the way as if I win, I get to celebrate. If I lose, I drown my sorrows. I grew up in a culture at home, like going out with my bigger brothers and drinking on a weekend. So for me, it's a bit of a release, and I like to have a beer. But some people, they think it deters from their performance. So I thought the other way.
Word on the street is the World Cup parties aren't as good as they used to be.
Definitely not. No, this week we've been reminiscing a little bit about the Palmer days and going out with Warner the night before the World Cup and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, guys don't do it anymore.
There's some great insights from some of the downhill pros. If you want to see the cross-country version of this video I did, cruising around the pits asking all your questions, click up there for that one. Give us a thumbs up if you love downhill racing and hit the sub button.